Look what we have tonight on the wrap-up show. Padres lose 1-0. We will get into it, I promise. Okay, everyone take a deep breath. We're going to rant if you want to rant. But in the absence of Jim, who remains an idiot, I've got Ben Fadden from Talking Friars with us here tonight. In fact, Ben, if you wouldn't mind for our viewers holding up the T-shirt that you have with you right now. All right, this is how we're going to start the show. I think this might be some good mojo. Look at that. Jim's an idiot. Jim's an idiot. Well said. Well said. Ben, real quick, as I always remind our viewers, subscribe, smash the like button, follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, but at Talking Friars for Ben Fadden. I really appreciate the super chats. Great way to support the work we're doing here. Myself, what Ben does at Talking Friars. Just hit the $ below the chat box. Also, if you want to become a member of this channel, click the join button down below. Ben, thank you for hanging out as Jim is drinking pina coladas in Cabo. So good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. And before we get going, tell our viewers about your channel if they haven't seen your content before.
Yeah, so Talking Friars on YouTube, and then I'm big on social media as well, Twitter, Instagram, just at Talking Friars. And I do a little bit different than what John and Jim do because I'm at a lot of the games. So coming home and doing just post game every game like this, at 11 o'clock at night, whatever, it's probably not the best. So I do pregame thoughts, a minute or two, post game reactions from Petco, usually when I'm at the game right after. And then I do series reactions, or if it's a 4-game series, maybe a reaction to the first couple games on episodes. So it's available on podcast platforms as well. You can just look up Talking Friars and you'll see it there. And then, like on social media, a lot of the in-game highlights that the Padres won't be posting or other big accounts won't be posting, bullpen charts. I just love trying to help other fans get closer to their favorite team.
All right, so we got Ben with us, and yes, if you haven't subscribed to Talking Friars, you should. If you haven't subscribed to the Wrap Up Show, you should. And we both have year-round Padres content, so if you're into it, like we're into it, like we consume it every single day, you need to be following the work we're doing on social media and on YouTube as well. All right, Ben, there's a lot to get through. I think if we're being fair, they're 8-9. Is that right? They're 8-9.
Yep.
17 games in. Is it what we expected? No. I mean, to be fair, you probably were hoping for 9-8, 10-7, maybe even 11-6 when the season started, right? You had high aspirations, huge expectations, but they're 8-9. They're not 4-13. Today's a little bit of an exclamation point on a bad series where they just didn't hit other than Saturday night, and maybe that makes it feel like it's a bit worse than it is. Yu Darvish was outstanding. You could argue that you lose on semantics or a rule change with the balk and the disengagements that we're going to get into. And then you had chances, Ben. I mean, you were there. I mean, first inning, you need to score. First and third, nobody out. You just got to find a way for 3, 4, and 5. Second inning, 1 out, runner third. You should score. Ninth inning, you load the bases against a really good pitcher. And, Trent Grisham didn't swing there with the count full. But, I mean, it was a tough series, right? I mean, it was a very tough series, but at the end of the day, it's 8-9. It's not 4-13, and reinforcements are coming.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at. I think we all are looking for the return of Fernando on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's like the best hitter ever created in El Paso right now. So that's great to see. It's encouraging. I know it means nothing right now, but yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the return for Musgrove and hopefully Suarez at some point. But yeah, this series, I said on my show, it's like a roller coaster. There's highs, there's lows. In this series, there was lows, and then there was a high on Saturday, and then it went crashing right back down today. I mean, there was just a lot of opportunities that were missed, and there were some times where it was just 3 up, 3 down innings. I mean, sometimes they made Wade Miley look like he was an amazing starting pitcher, and that's just not what he is at this point in his career. Like you talked about, first inning, first and third with no outs. Soto strikes out looking, Cruz strikes out, and then Jake Cronenworth has the fly out to left. And then in the second inning, runner on third, 1 out. Grisham struck out, and Azokar struck out. And Tatis was in the lineup. Would Tatis have struck out in place of Azokar? Maybe not. Maybe he would have homered. But right now, all we can talk about is what this team looks like right now, and the right field spot has definitely been a hole. Grisham cannot be striking in spots like he did in the ninth inning, spot like he did in the second inning. Soto can't be striking out looking either. Like, strikeouts is what I think bugs a lot of Padres fans because, and I'm sure a lot of Padres fans were told this in Little League too, like, make the defense beat you. You strike out, you're not even giving yourself a chance to score these runs. And Grisham, ninth inning, taking that pitch, I thought it was a ball maybe a little high when I was at the stadium and I saw it and like it's like right down the middle. Like it's just got to improve. They have to limit the strikeouts in situations like this where they're already not scoring runs. So just disappointing series. Obviously, getting blown out on Friday. That game was over before the Padres even really came on offense in the bottom of the first. Yeah, Chad. Yeah, Soto in walk mode a little bit. He's rolling off on a lot of balls though. He's just, I don't know. It's got to improve. He's just not synced up right now. It feels like.
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, your internet is like Jim's for whatever reason. Your internet's normally good, right? Do you want to
Yeah,
log out, log in? Or would you
yeah.
have
Hang on.
full? Yeah. Okay. Let Ben do his thing. Okay, he's gonna re-enter the chat. If you're wondering where Jim is, everyone is. He's in Cabo. He's drinking pina coladas. He's drunk. He's an idiot. He'll be back tomorrow. He's watched 0 seconds of the Padres the last 4 days, so you're missing nothing not having Jim. And Ben's been at these games the last 4 days while Jim's been drinking pina colada. So I figured we'd bring Ben in for a collab and talk about what's happened here over the course of the weekend. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If it was me doing a show solo tonight, I would tell you that this is really anemic offensively. There's no guarantee anything changes, by the way, Thursday when Fernando Tatis Jr. returns, as good as he's been in AAA. There's no guarantee he hits the ground running. I think and hope he will. And the Juan Soto thing is completely perplexing. Ben, what's going on?
Hopefully, it's good. I don't know
Okay.
what's happening.
Okay. We got Ben back. Here's what I would say about Soto. Ben, I don't know if you read Chelsea Janes in the Washington Post today. She wrote about Soto. I just read it, and it was really insightful. She spoke with him. And you saw there's been some interesting quotes from Soto. I don't know if you've seen all of them or some of them. You saw the MLB.com quote, right? Where he's like, we know I need to be fixed. It's just nobody's like fixing me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's paraphrasing. And then there was the quote you saw tonight in The Athletic.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that, which basically said, I'm never going to have more fun than 2019. With that group of veterans, nobody was thinking about free agency. He may have been talking about himself, in the present moment about thinking about free agency. But I mean, what's happened here with Soto is no longer a quick fix. I mean, it really is. I told you all year last year, give it time, give it time, give it time. And it's going to be hard for me to go down that path much longer in 2023. He was quoted extensively about his issues, which is he's pulling the ball way more than he ever did in DC. He's pulling the ball over 50% of the time. He was pulling the ball under 40% of the time at the Nationals. He's trying to go the other way. It's not happening. And what it's resulting in is a lot of ground balls to the right side when he's not putting the ball in the air. He's had some exceptions. The 450 whatever foot home run was a thing of beauty. So, I mean, he's had a few moments. He has been able to get on base. Nobody wants to hear about it, though, because he's making a lot of money. And if they sign him, he's going to make even more money. I don't really know what to say. I still believe ultimately he's going to produce and produce in a big way this year. I know people in the chat don't want to hear it. I know they're living it and dying on this every single day. I believe it's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to take to happen. I don't know why this is happening. Is it pressing? Is it trying to impress the home fans where he's been terrible at Petco? Now since last year, he's been much better on the road. Is it mechanics? I think he said today to Chelsea Janes, it is mechanical. So I just got to kind of believe in the process, Ben, but it has been somewhat frustrating to watch.
Yeah. So I did not see the Chelsea Janes article, but
Okay.
I saw the Ken Rosenthal one, and I think that's just I wouldn't read too much into that about the 2019 stuff. I think he just really loved that year, and he was such a young player at the
No
time. Like
doubt.
it's just that's going to be at the top. But yeah, with Soto, I mean, the quick fix thing, I don't think it's going to be a quick fix, but I think it could be like within a week. If he really tries I'm not saying he's not trying now, but if he really tries and maybe there's an off day like how they had with Jake Cronenworth and he finds something in the cage, really just trying to go oppo like all day one day, maybe that's all it takes. Just try to go oppo all day in the cage one day and then have that day off, come back the next day and see what happens. I don't think it's anywhere about him batting in the order, him batting second or him batting third. He is rolling over on a lot of pitches. I don't know if it's pitchers they've they found him out like how to pitch to him, but it's Juan Soto. Like this doesn't feel like a player where oh he was a rookie, had a really good year, and now the second year pitchers have found how to get him out. Like he's one of the best hitters in baseball. So that's why it's just so confusing and maddening to a lot of Padres fans as to why he continues to struggle at the plate. He keeps getting on base, but no one wants to hear about the walks.
Right, no doubt. There was glad you mentioned, the way people are pitching to him. So, and someone just put in the chat here about him hunting high fastballs and he's not getting them. Did you hear this? It might have been during the Saturday National game with Jason Benetti on the call. And I want to say you probably were watching it because you weren't there.
Yeah.
And I want to say Jason said, and I was really surprised by this, his last breaking ball home run was in July of last year. He has not homered off a pitch other than a fastball. Breaking ball home run was in July. Oh, what is that? Of last year. That might be me. What is that? I hear myself in the background. Did you hear that?
Yeah. I don't have anything else open.
I hear myself in the background. Did you hear that?
Yeah. I don't have anything else open.
I hear myself in the background.
It's not me. Yeah. I don't have anything else open.
I hear myself.
It's not me. Yeah.
You guys hear that, right? Ben, close out.
You guys hear that, right?
Okay. What is happening? Test 1, 2. It's definitely on Ben's side. Lord, we're going to get to all these supers. Thank you guys. Vector, I'm going to get to in a moment. I want to make sure to give you the time that I want to give to it. Jason, we're going to get your super. Thank you guys for your support. If you want to make sure to support this channel, if you want to get something off your chest tonight, a great way to do it is with the super chat. Just click the $ in the chat box down below. We're talking, but again, Juan Soto has not hit a home run off anything other than the fastball since last July. You think opponents don't realize that? I mean, they clearly realize that. And here's the other thing with Soto. He doesn't swing early in counts. So you can get ahead of him on a fastball and then never throw him one again. And that actually happened today, I want to say, early in the game. Let me get Ben back in here. All right, talk.
Hello. I feel like Jim.
Okay, we're good. Someone said you're like young Jim with the internet issues.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Okay, let's get to some of these super chats. But yeah, it's I was just saying, Ben, while you're gone briefly, like I'm watching some of these ABs, and what I'm noticing, if I'm noticing it, they're noticing it. Teams will try to get ahead of Soto throwing an early fastball that they know he's going to take, or often he's going to take because he's not very trigger happy for whatever reason, and then he doesn't see a fastball again in the count. You look at the way Miley pitched to him early in this game. It's just the way he's being pitched to is like it's breaking, it's off speed, it's breaking, it's off speed, and it's like it's becoming frustrating for him, and he's just not getting the pitches clearly he wants to get. And I think when he does get those pitches, he's laying off them for whatever reason. And he's getting so few hittable fastballs that when he gets a fastball, I remember when I was in the minor leagues, they would say this: when you get a fastball, you might not get another. You better be prepared to hit it because it's tough to hit anything else in the big leagues. And even for Juan Soto, we're seeing that. Let me get to the super here from Vector53, who says bats being inconsistent. Pods baseball for years. There is something about, the Padres, Ben, as you know, I mean, they've loaded up with this offense. They've spent a fortune of money. It's never been more primed to break out, but there's something about April, May, even June baseball at Petco Park. You look at the conditions this weekend, it's not an excuse because they lost 3 out of 4 games. The other team won. It's not like Milwaukee had a great offensive game tonight, but, you're playing at 55-degree weather with heavy marine layer, and that has not been beneficial to the Padres this year or previous years either.
Yeah, there's been some balls this past series that were like warning track balls, didn't get out. I'm hearing an echo somehow. Don't know what's going on here. Yeah, it's definitely a fact. I think Nelson Cruz, he's gotten hit on some of those already. Uh, Getting back to Juan Soto with
Yep.
some of the pitches there, like I think Wade Miley was it first at bat today. There were multiple fastballs up high in the zone that he swung through, and I'm
Yep.
sitting there and I'm like, this is not Juan Soto. He doesn't swing at those pitches, or if he swings at them, he makes contact with
Right.
them
Yep.
because high fastballs doesn't seem like that's his pitch. The home run that he hit against the Mets, I think that was a little high, but it wasn't as high as that pitch was. So maybe he's just trying to really get out of this slump by just swinging at pitches he's not supposed to be swinging at. Yeah, the bats, they're inconsistent. That's the big problem I think with this Padres team right now. It's not the pitching. I think the starting pitching's been pretty good. There's been some exceptions, a couple outings, and then Snell obviously, but starting pitching's been fine. The offense just can't score enough runs for that starting pitching to look better than it has.
I'm with you. Let me get to this super here from Jason. Guys, as you make your way in, please subscribe here on Padres content. Smash the like button for us. Follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer at Talking Friars. Thank you for your support with the super chats. Great way to support this channel. If you want to just rant tonight, if you want to make sure we get to something that's on your mind, hit the $sign. It's right below the chat box. We get to all of the supers, as you know, like this one from Jason Ramirez with the cool little San Diego chicken emoji there. He says, Darvish looks fly again, which is true. Darvish is great tonight. You couldn't ask for anything more from you, Darvish. Soto's still struggling with timely hits. I think he's 0 for 12 in this series. Fernando looks 100%, and it's April. No reason to panic. Any thought on Carpenter's play? Let me start with this. Darvish, this is great because we didn't know what to expect, and here we are a couple starts in, and he's good. He's throwing 100-plus pitches. He's going deep into games. He threw everything for strikes today. He was getting all kinds of movement, so he was really good. Super encouraging. What I didn't love that I want to get into is what happened in the second inning that, could have been the difference between winning and losing tonight, which is the way that they allowed that run. I forget how the leadoff man reached, Ben. Was it a single or not?
Yeah, bunt single.
Bunt single, that's right. That Machado then kind of threw down the right field line. Didn't cost him anything. It's fine. So well-placed bunt, which has killed Darvish. Okay, that's like the third or fourth bunt against him already. Then Bob Melvin talked about this postgame. He thought when he stepped off so early in a sequence with the clock still at like 12, it wasn't a disengagement because he stepped back on before 8, but it was a disengagement. There was then a second disengagement, and you can only have 3. So when he threw to first, if he doesn't record a pickoff, the runner is automatically awarded a second base, or second base. That's the balk.
Yep.
Well, it proves overly costly because then he steals third, just a running jump. Nothing Austin Nola could do. You could put it more on Darvish than Nola, but I don't know if you're going to keep him off third in that spot. And then a sac fly. But without the disengagement, who knows if a run scores in that inning? You could certainly say the run's not going to score in that inning. And my issue with the disengagement, and there were a couple of things. They talked about the pitch com issues with the disengagement because Nola was actually calling for a pitch out, but because of how pitch com was activated, and Ben, we can talk more about this, Darvish actually thought he was calling for a throw over, and that was the third disengagement. So I hate that. And then the other thing is, like, this is the regular season, and you wish that this stuff was all buttoned up based on what happened in spring training, but there wasn't an opportunity to button it up with someone like Yu Darvish. He was literally barely in spring training. Left for Japan the day he signed that contract extension before spring training and didn't get back until the final days of camp. So some of it you chalk up to, hey, it's new, but you hate to lose a game over something that you just chalk up.
Yeah, so with Darvish, I mean, this thing was weird. Like,
Yep.
2 disengagements. So he thought when he stepped off and then got back on that that's not a disengagement.
Correct.
Which I don't understand. Like, you stepped off the mound, that's a disengagement.
Yes.
It shouldn't matter where the clock is.
Yep.
But then he picked off because that's what he heard in his ear. Nola, he hit the wrong button. There's modes on this PitchCom device. There's modes for pitches, and then I think there's a different total set for pickoffs and pitch outs.
Yeah, exactly.
And Nola, he hit the pick off when Melvin signaled to Nola pitch out. That's the confusion there for Padres fans that didn't really understand that. I didn't understand that till I was home because I was at the game. That the umpires, I think they need to have mics and tell us what's going on, because
Yeah,
that just doesn't make sense to people that are
sure.
at the ballpark.
No
But
doubt.
yeah, that communication. And then, with Darvish, I can blame him for the disengagement thing. It's a disengagement. You should know that. But he was also told to step off. And when you're on the mound, probably trying to focus on the batter, and you hear in your ear pick off, you're going to just pick off. Like, that's just, you heard it. So you're just going to do it. He probably wasn't thinking, oh, I already have two disengagements. I can't throw over unless I'm going to throw this guy out. And he wasn't going to throw him out. So it was just a lot of miscommunication is what was happening there.
Which I hate, because there's already, this, Ben, there's already been at least multiple instances where you've had a pitch com issue in the first couple of weeks of the season. You had Snell, who was very critical of it. Whatever you want to say about that, if you believe any of it, it was a big issue and a close loss, right? That was the 2-0, the game they led 2-0. They ended up losing 5-2, 5-3 in New York, and he allowed that solo home run maybe to Pete Alonso in that spot that gave the Mets a lead.
He wanted to throw a fastball instead of throwing ball 3, I guess, is what he was saying.
Right. As opposed to taking an auto ball, he ended up electing to throw late in the pitch clock. And he also admitted, hey, it wasn't a good pitch. I didn't throw it where I wanted to throw it. But he kind of threw PitchCom under the bus. Whatever. Maybe it's an excuse. Maybe there's some truth to it. And then today, you lose a game by a run where the only run scores as a result of a PitchCom issue. Now, I don't think I'm wrong with this. I just heard a conversation on this recently. PitchCom has become the usage of choice in baseball, as in, like, a year ago, it was like 40 or 50% of the guys are using it. And now it's like 90+%, especially with the clock, because it just quickens your ability to get signs. You don't have to decipher. You don't have to worry about crossing signals, nor runners on base, right? That everyone was worried about for forever in the mid 2010s because of sign stealing. So, okay, it makes sense. With all that being said, if there are any issues with it, you can go back to straight signs. So it's just something to consider. Blake Snell was critical of it. Yu Darvish had an issue with it here tonight. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But there have been other instances as you watch these games that where PitchCom pops up, and it's like you hate to lose a game over something like that. And again, I don't know. Maybe this is less about PitchCom and more about Yu Darvish would have thrown over regardless, and didn't realize he had already used a disengagement, which is on him. But to get to Jason's original point here on Carpenter, his sample size is even smaller than all these regulars because he's not playing every single day. He hasn't hit. He hasn't really gotten on base. But how many at-bats is it, Ben? It can't be many plate appearances at this
30.
point.
30
Okay,
at bats.
30 at-bats. I prefer to see more than that with any player, if I'm being fair. But he hasn't been great, but that's like a lot of the guys in this lineup, to be honest.
Yeah, and if you look at his game logs, so he played today. He had 1 at bat today, and he swung at the first pitch. I didn't really like that. Started yesterday, but then his last game before that was the 13th, then the 12th, but then he's not playing every day.
Right.
10th, 8th, 6th, 4th. It's hard probably for him. Yeah, it's hard probably for him to get into a rhythm like that. But yeah, he's a platoon. And Nelson Cruz, he's playing well in that role, and Matt Carpenter's not. I said on my show today, like, I think it's too early to be having any real opinion on Matt Carpenter right now because of such a small sample size, especially when he's platooning. Like, we can't say, oh, this Carpenter deal, I wish we had Josh Bell or I wish we had Brandon Drury. It's just too small of a sample size right now. So I just don't think it's fair to really, we can criticize what we've seen so far, but just to make a jump, to the conclusion already about Carpenter, it's just not, that's not the thing to do right now.
All right, let me get to another super here. Thank you, Jason. Really do appreciate it. Thank you, Matt, as well. If you guys want to contribute, if you want to get our thoughts on a certain subject, again, the Padres lose 3 or 4 to the Brewers. They lose today. Really just a tough way to lose. 1-0. The difference, a disengagement, really, between potentially winning or losing, then just all types of wasted opportunities, which has been the story of the first couple of weeks for the Padres, where they're just not hitting situationally or hitting with men in scoring position, first and third for 3, 4, and 5 in the first inning. You just have to score. You just have to score. Runner at third, 1 out in the second inning. You should score. And when you load the bases in the ninth inning like that, you're just thinking it's your time. And then you get the full count for Grisham, and he takes a fastball. I don't know what you're looking for in that spot. I get it. Devin Williams is very capable. He's very dangerous. But man, it brings back memories of 2022 when I see Trent Grisham taking third strikes, you know?
The only thing I was thinking there was he was looking changeup because that
He
was
must have
the
been.
pitch that Devin Williams was continuing to go to. I mean, he
Yep.
struck out Cronenworth on that. That changeup was really, really working for him. So I'm thinking he was thinking changeup, but it's 3-2. Like, I'd rather have you go down swinging than strike out looking like that.
Yeah, you have to. You just have to protect 3-2 with the game on the line. You just absolutely have to. And that was an issue last year with Trent Grisham. He struck out a number of times looking to end games in 2022. Matt, thank you for the super. He says thoughts on what the lineup is going to look like. I assume we're talking about Thursday. I also am assuming come Thursday that you're going to have Tatis at the top of the lineup. That would be my assumption. My other assumption is Juan Soto will bat behind him. My other assumption is Manny Machado will bat behind those two. And then my other assumption is Xander Bogaerts is your cleanup batter. And then from there, you've lengthened and deepened, which is great, especially if Tatis can hit in any way like he's hit right now in AAA, which is just the most absurd 3 or 4 game stretch you'll ever see. And I called 15 years of AAA games, and I never saw anything like what Fernando Tatis Jr. just did over the course of this weekend. So you have to like it, what the possibilities are. But truth is that they're all going to have to pick up their play. You know, Tatis won't carry everything, even if he comes up and hits. They're going to need production from the Sotos and the Machados and the Bogarts as well. But I mean, I'm excited and encouraged certainly by what we're seeing from Tatis.
Yeah. Over the weekend, when you're seeing him hit home runs, it feels like in every at bat. I watched some of the at bats, and I'm watching or looking on social media for updates. And when I didn't see the home run today like live because I was going to the stadium. But when you go back and you listen to it, and Tim Haggerty's like, no way in the middle of the call, you know that he's going nuts right now. Like he is just on a different level. I know it's AAA pitching.
Yep.
It's not major league pitching. People
Ball
that
flies in the PCL.
Yeah.
Yep.
Haters of his are going to do that. But I love what I'm seeing right now. He's healthy. The guy led the league in 2021, and he didn't play the full season. Played like 130 games. He was playing with one healthy arm, and he is healthy now. And I'm pretty sure he's motivated to prove a lot of people wrong, and he just cannot wait to get back on the major league level. So, yeah, everything that I've seen so far is encouraging. The slow start to spring training. Remember when everyone was freaking out about that?
Oh, yeah.
That feels such a long time ago. He's looked good in the outfield. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm in AAA, right? 515 average, I believe. 1,802 OPS.
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, you're in crazy bonkers, not even, Babe Ruth, right? If you looked at like a 30-game stretch or Barry Bonds, I mean, it's stupid. Again, it's a very small sample size, but what he's doing is truly, truly remarkable. All right, I want to get back to the chat in a moment. Again, if you want to contribute, just click the $sign below the chat box. Great way to support the work we're doing here on the Wrap-Up Show. Also, Ben Fadden's Talking Friars page as well. I do want to thank our title sponsor here on the Wrap-Up Show, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, who is a great insurance agent because I've had my insurance through him for about 2 years at this point, and he can save you money and he can take care of whatever you need. I've got a life insurance policy, a homeowner's policy, an earthquake insurance policy through Mark. He can save you $750 or more just by switching your insurance over to him. He's in Poway. He's a San Diegan. He's a huge Padres fan. The next time you have a renewal need, get in contact with Mark. He would love to talk to you about how he can save you money, about the Padres as well, but auto, home, business, life, condo, renters. Here's a link to his website. Click the description down below on YouTube. You'll get a link to his website. You can see it on the screen. You can get a quote online. Mark is a great insurance agent with great customer service, great communication. And again, the next time you have a renewal or the next time you have a new insurance need, before you contact someone else, if you want to support this channel, if you want to support a local business, get in contact with our buddy Mark Nimitz, the title sponsor of the Wrap-Up Show. Without Mark's support, we would be unable to do this day in and day out. So thank you, Mark. We do appreciate it. All right, John Schaefer, Ben Fadden with you. It is a Sunday night. Padres Lose this afternoon to the Brewers on that marine layer, gray, foggy Sunday afternoon, 1-0. Wasted opportunities early against Wade Miley. Had a chance there in the ninth inning to tie it or win it, but came up empty. Let me get to a super that just rolled in here from Martin. And again, if you want to make sure we get your comment, just click the $ in the chat box down below or just below the chat box, like Martin just did. Martin, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for the super. He says, love Ha-Seong Kim, definitely, but I really liked yesterday's lineup, especially when Toddy is back. I think if Karp gets more ABs, he's going to hit. Great approach at the plate. What do you make of this in general? I mean, I think Ha-Seong Kim is basically going to be your starting second baseman, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be the same defensive alignment with just Zokar out, essentially.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the thing. They have had no production out of right field. None. I mean, 29th or 30th in baseball in OPS. So, you could argue that's a bad thing, or you could say, well, there's a lot of room for growth. If you're going from the worst OPS in right to a guy that's capable of being, top 5 OPS hitter in the position. I mean, and maybe I'm being cautious when I say top 5. He's capable of being better than that, but he certainly could be one of the top 5 right fielders offensively in the game. So that could be, I mean, not just could be impactful. I mean, how could Tatis not impact your lineup significantly? Now, you could say the same thing. How could Juan Soto not impact your lineup significantly, or Manny Machado or Xander Bogaerts? But, I mean, you can't undersell the importance of Fernando Tatis Jr.
No, definitely not. I mean, look at what he has done in his career when he's been on the field.
He always
There's
hits.
been minimal slumps, minimal.
Yep.
And I think 2021 might have slumped the beginning of the year.
He
But
did.
then look how he finished the year. And going back to the struggles in right field, let's go around the league, right? Mookie Betts, you take him off the Dodgers and you take away their bench right fielder, because that's what's happened here with David Dahl being gone. You put an infielder in right field with Rougned Odor sometimes. How is that going to play out for every other team? Take Aaron Judge off the Yankees and
it's not going to be as good.
It's not going to work out great.
Right.
So
that's true.
I think Tatis, he's going to provide such a boost. I think energy-wise, players have said that. Energy-wise, performance-wise, it'll help out the lineup. Yeah, everything's going to be better.
Yeah, I think you're basically going from like a 600 OPS position, maybe it's higher than that, but not much higher, to the possibility, I mean, conservatively a 900 OPS from Tatis, but with an upside of 1,000 plus. Now, maybe I'm being overly optimistic. Maybe it takes him 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get going, and he's not a 900 OPS player, but he's not going to be a 600 OPS player for 3 weeks. There's no way. So you're going to get more production out of the position. He's an athlete. I think he's going to field his position well. I think we've already seen his arm. So I think he's not just helping at the plate, to be honest. I think he can help you in the field. And he'll DH, obviously, occasionally as well. He'll get some off days early on. They're not going to play him 142 straight games or whatever is going to be remaining in the season. So you're going to have to deal with some of that as well. I know this. I'm going to hate not seeing him in there if he's producing immediately. If he's producing, I'm going to need to see him, especially with the struggles we've seen out of this offense. You can kind of ill afford not to have him in there if he's going to be a guy that's capable of hitting and hitting for power.
Right. And there's going to be more off days coming up. This is a brutal stretch to start the year for the Padres, especially when they've been down players and going to a 6-man rotation and they didn't have some starters in the rotation, and Tatis being suspended. It's been tough, and they've had some tough teams as well. So there's going to be more off days for him to have off days without having to take an off day. He'll probably be part of the double off day where he DHs one day before an off day. You'll see that. They have a plan. Don't freak out if he's not in there for every
It won't be
game,
every day. It won't be every
game, for the next 2 weeks when he comes back. That's just not going to happen. But he's going to be in there most games, definitely. And when he's hot, they're going to keep playing him, I think.
By the way, 5 off days in a 15-day period, I think beginning with the trip to Mexico City. Now, there's some travel in there. They go from Chicago, I think, to Mexico City. There's an off day. And then there's 4 additional off days over the course of the next couple of weeks, which actually probably provides Tatis the opportunity to play a lot because there's those built-in off days. It probably allows him to play a lot. Here's the other thing it allows you, I think, to go to a 5-man rotation when Joe Musgrove comes back, at least for a period of time, not for eternity, but at least for a period of time, I think it protects your bullpen a little more. I think as you get length out of guys like Yu Darvish, hopefully eventually Blake Snell, you'll get it out of Musgrove, presumably after a start or two. With all those off days, I don't think you need a 6-man rotation, Ben, because you're asking guys then to pitch every 7th or 8th day with the off days. So at least over a 2 or 3 week period, I think I would shorten this thing down and see what I can get out of it and then strengthen my bullpen.
Definitely. Look at Darvish, Musgrove. They like pitching every 5th day.
Yeah.
Blake Snell, probably going to like pitching more frequently every 5th day to get into a rhythm. Waka, he's a veteran every 5th day. You're not dealing with rookies who are like, yeah, every 6th day, I'm used to that. We're not having Ohtani on here pitching once a week. Like,
Yep.
no, it's every 5th day. You can move Lugo or Martinez to the bullpen. You can move Weathers to the bullpen and send down Chris Matt or whoever you want, Kinnear as well, because he just got brought up today with Tapia going down. It improves the bullpen, and Musgrove coming in improves the rotation. So, yeah, when he comes back, it's probably a win-win.
Agreed. All right, Jesse, thank you for hanging out. Jesse, I want to say is out in Hawaii. So, Jesse, thank you for hanging out on this Sunday early evening on the islands. And Jesse says, I understand them, but I personally hate bunts. Such a sorry way to get a hit, but I guess a hit is a hit. I mean, it's really hurt Darvish. He was done in by that at Citi Field in one of those ridiculous innings that you'll never see. 2 bunts on the chalk in the same inning. Had Manny Machado literally laughing. And then Yu Darvish saying postgame, maybe I'm lucky to have so much, to be unlucky. Like It's almost rare to see something like that happen, obviously, over the course of like a season, and it happened in one inning. It is part of the game. And, whatever. I mean, the Padres have used bunts to their advantage. The Brewers today used a bunt to their advantage. The bunt isn't what did in the Padres. What hurt them a lot, we know about this, Ben, and we should talk about it. The run games have killed the Padres early on. I know Bob Melvin talked about that post game. They've been doing PFP, pitchers fielding practice. They've been trying to be quicker to the plate, which I think by and large, Melvin said today they were. It wasn't because they were overly slow to the plate, although Darvish, I don't think, paid any attention when third base was stolen. I don't know if it would have mattered or not. So I'm less concerned about the bunt, and I'm more concerned about their ability to just tighten up some of these things that are going to be so critical this year. I mean, the steal game has been huge in Major League Baseball in the first month of the season, and the Padres just need to do a better job of slowing down, not stopping, but slowing down opponent run game.
Yeah, part of that is Austin Nola. Like, that just hurts sometimes.
Yep.
And another part of it is the pitchers. They got to work faster to the plate, some of them, like Darvish, like Snell. Some have to pick over more instead. Like, there's sometimes where it feels like the Padres, they pick over to second base once the guy's already stole second base.
Right.
They pick over there more than they do to first base. So they've just got to find a way to keep runners closer. And sometimes with the Diamondback, like teams like the Diamondbacks, they're going to steal. It doesn't matter what team they're facing. They're going to steal some bases. That with those teams, it's hard to prevent that.
Yep.
You got to just be able to prevent those guys from getting they're at second, prevent them from just scoring. Those are teams where you just have to shut down the offense. But other teams where you can shut them down because they don't have all the speed, that's where you got to really hone in on cutting down the run game. And the pitch comm stuff, I think that's going to get ironed out. I wonder if, and let me know your thoughts on this, I wonder if later in the year, is the Padres' run game control going to be better because pitchers will be more used to the pitch clock? I feel now maybe some are rushed and they're just not thinking about a runner on first. A catcher is focused on getting a pitch into the pitcher, and if he doesn't like it, then they're just focused on each other instead of on a runner that's on base.
I would say fair, but I would always compare it to the other 29 MLB teams. It's like if the Padres are having issues with it, but half of the teams aren't, then what's different about the Padres and their starters and their catchers than the rest of baseball? And I would tell you one of the reasons is the Padres catching situation is not ideal. It's just not. I'm not saying it's the worst in baseball. Austin Nola hasn't hit. That doesn't mean he's a 100 hitter. He's been a 100 hitter. That doesn't mean he is a 100 hitter. Luis Campusano, I think, has great upside, but it's upside. It's still potential. It's not, a guarantee right now that this guy can be a complete catcher, calling games, slowing down run games, and hitting for power offensively. So it's a little bit of a work in progress. I think they tried to address catcher maybe in the offseason and didn't necessarily, come through the way they wanted to. And I don't know if they realized that running was going to be so significant with the larger bases and the disengagements. That what is it, Ben? I think they've thrown out one of 23 or one of 24 would-be base stealers this year. I mean, other teams are seeing that, and they are going to run until the Padres figure out a way to stop it. That's what's going to happen. And like you said, at some point, hopefully they figure out a way to stop it and it halts it. But for the time being, like they're going to Phoenix next weekend, like you said, this is not going to stop until the Padres find a way to stop it, would be my guess.
And you talk about the Padres as well, like 29 other teams, and the Padres, they're not a team that's going and stealing a bunch of bases.
They're not.
Maybe that'll change, hopefully, when Tatis comes in here. But what about the other guys on the team? I don't know if that's going to change with them. So
right.
Maybe other teams are just taking advantage of it because they have guys or their manager wants to steal more. Maybe the Padres are just reliant on the bat that we have instead of getting guys more into scoring position. I don't know, but it's got to get better.
Your internet is kind of like Jim's, but we'll deal with it. You do more content than we do. Maybe it's just the wrap-up show. There's always an issue with someone's internet on the wrap-up show. What's the latest on Campusano, Ben?
He has a jam thumb. He's day-to-day.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was day-to-day.
Yeah, thumb went numb. He's not catching right now. He's throwing. He was throwing Bogarts earlier today. Another coach, I think, is catching for him and then giving him the ball. So hopefully it progresses. It's not. I don't think it's a long-term thing.
Yeah, no, hopefully not. Hopefully not. I mean, as big of a concern as the run game is against the Padres, and I do hope Tatis runs, by the way. He's stolen a little bit in spring training and in AAA. I think he's got a couple of steals and just limited action in AAA. I hope they let him run. I mean, I think he's capable of stealing 15-plus bases, even off these injuries and the suspension. I just hope they let him run a little bit. But one of the big concerns, Ben, of the first, 17 games, 2.5 weeks, is their inability to hit with men in scoring position. And it's not just hit, situationally hit as well. I think they were 0 for 6 here today. I think they're last in the National League. I don't know if it's the major leagues, but last in the National League in hitting with runners in scoring position. Now, it's 17 games. I think it can change. But, it's tough to be really good when you're really bad in that area, if that makes sense. And they've been really bad in that area, and they haven't been a really bad team. They're 8-9. That's not the worst team in baseball. They're not the best either, but that's something that, I mean, there's no easy answer. That's 1 through 9 impacting, right? Runners in scoring position isn't one player, but is it pressing? Is it lack of clutch hit? I can't put my finger on it, to be honest with you.
It feels like there's just a lot of strikeouts with runners in scoring position. So
tons.
They're not putting the ball in the air in the outfield with guys on third base like they had the opportunity to do today, and the Brewers did with, I believe, Mitchell on third base.
Mm-hmm.
Little things like that. Just putting the ball in play. Again, going back to my point of making the defense get the out. Don't just allow the pitcher to do it. Make the defense do it. Because if you're not going to let the defense do it, then obviously you're not bringing runs in because you're striking out all the time. I think that's my main issue with runners in scoring position. Their troubles there is there's too many strikeouts right now.
And I agree with this from Brent. Hitting is contagious. Just need a few guys to get it started. That's 100% accurate. This is all too familiar. When a player struggles, a lineup can struggle. Or when a lineup is struggling, it's hard for one player to solely lift the lineup out of it. Maybe Fernando Tatis Jr. is an exception. I recall in 2021 when he had missed some time and he came back in Phoenix and he had 2 home runs in a game. Now, it didn't completely change the season, if you recall. I mean, but he, he's the type of player. So is Machado. So is Soto. Hopefully, so is Bogarts. We've seen these first couple of weeks. Tatis can do all the heavy lifting. When you have a player like Tatis or Soto or Machado in the lineup, you don't need production out of anyone else. If someone's going to hit 2 home runs in a game, you can win. If someone's going to hit a 3-run home run in a game, you can win. So that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting for the individual performances to win the Padres games that other teams can't win. The rest will come. There's going to be stretches where 2 of the big 4 or 3 of the big 4 are hitting all at the same time. There's going to be stretches where the bottom of the lineup is hitting at the same time. But when you're not hitting, what you could really use in moments where you're not hitting is just individual efforts. A Soto 2 home run game, a Machado homer and double, a Tatis homer and double. And I feel like they're due for something like that, Ben. I really do. I don't know if it's going to come against Atlanta or not. Atlanta's good. Their pitching we're about to see is really good. I know the Padres just took 3 out of 4, but the Braves are aware of that as well. But and Tatis is coming Thursday. At some point, we're going to need to see some of those individual games where someone's got 6, 7 total bases, a home run, a double, a home run, a double, and a single. Like, we're still waiting on a couple of those games, and that's the type of performance that can win a game for you.
And it's going back to the consistency, right? Cronenworth had one on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely,
and
100%.
then there was nothing today, right?
Exactly.
There's one game, Nelson Cruz, 6 RBIs that one game. I know he's platoon, so he's not going to do that consistently. But yeah, you got to have it consistently from one guy, and then the next day, maybe another guy if that guy's not on that day or not having success against that particular guy that day. Yeah, it just goes back to the consistency point. Not coming through with runners in scoring position. With the stars that are on this team, you think at some point one of those star players will be able to do that multiple times in a game, or one time in a game, a big home run. Grisham did that on Thursday night with the 2-run home run.
Yep.
Obviously, that only tied the game, but little things like that. Bottom of the order, I think you could say they've had some okay moments this year. We're hoping that they can step up a little bit more. Jim still sucked, yeah. But like, let's go through like our concern levels with these guys. Like Manny, I don't think we're concerned with Manny. So I think there's a little more concern there, but I think he can turn it around. I think it's just a matter of when is he going to turn it around? How long is it going to take for him to turn it around? Cronenworth, I'm not worried about stuff like that,
No, Jim's not sabotaging Ben's internet, we don't think, but it's a possibility, to be honest. JD's third says hitting is contagious. Will that be sold as merch? I kind of like it. And it's early, and we are fine. I like all of it. Let me say this, because you know me, I've been as big of a Juan Soto apologist as there is in the town, at least on radio. You know what I mean? And I'm finally willing to say I'm concerned. I'm not saying I'm worried, but I'm concerned. I still believe, like I said earlier, I think he'll find his way out of it. I really, truly, honestly believe that. And I would tell you if I didn't. But if we fast forward a month and it's the exact same, it's going to be really tricky because there's no easy answer. You don't sit Juan Soto. Of course, you could for a day, and maybe sometimes that works. Look at Jay Cronenworth. So sure, you could sit any player for any day. He'll never be sent anywhere. Let's be clear. So, okay, he's not going anywhere. He's not working on anything anywhere. He's going to be plugged into the lineup every single day, as he should be. Like a Manny Machado, when if he struggles, he needs to be plugged into the lineup every single day. And you can put it on. And I know the Mets, I want to say, their media team was talking about, hey, the Padres coaches haven't done a good job, or the Padres, staff has not done a good job with Juan Soto. This starts and when you're a superstar player, it starts and ends with you. I mean, we can pretend like, is it Scott Coolbaugh or whomever is going to, you got to put that. This is on Juan Soto to get out of. That's who it's on. He's got to figure out the answers here. He's got to watch his film of his time in DC. He's got to know what's going on between his ears. This is on Juan Soto. So yeah, I'll be honest. It's a little perplexing, but he hit in spring, he hit in the WBC, had the oblique. I was willing to excuse it a little bit because of the oblique. Ben, if we pulled up his Petco Park numbers, it's crazy. He just has not hit at all at Petco Park. Is it trying to do too much? Maybe. That's definitely a possibility, but it's like, at what point is it not a small sample size when you go back to last year and carry it through today? You're looking at a half season of time with the postseason.
Yeah, and that's what I asked on my show today. Like, how long is it's early? Is it 40 games? Is it 60 games? Like,
Right.
What is it? With the Padres just this season, with Juan Soto just as a Padre. And yes, Petco Park, it's not a hitter's ballpark.
Nope.
We all understand that. But it's still Juan Soto. You still think that he's still going to be able to produce, maybe not to the level of Washington, but still around that level. And he just hasn't been able to do it. I know Juan Soto is trying to work his butt off to find an answer to this. We know that he does work hard. He does care. Of course he cares. He has a big contract coming up. Like, he wants that money. So of course he's going to be motivated and he wants to be better. So I don't think if any fan wants to question work ethic or anything like that, like, I don't think you should be questioning that. I think we're all just sitting here wondering what is happening? Why is it happening? And Soto obviously is wondering that same thing right now because he's had comments to the media wondering it aloud as well. And I just don't know when he's going to figure it out.
First of all, I want to thank Pedro for hanging out tonight because me and Pedro had a little bit of a tiff. What night was that, Pedro? And it's all because we're family, by the way, Pedro. So it's good to have you back. He says, "There you go, John. Now you're getting somewhere. Just play fair and down the middle, fair and balanced reactions to the team." Pedro, I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong. You can comment in the chat. I want to say you were critical of me the other night because you didn't think I was critical enough. Which, you know me, Pedro, and you certainly know when Jim's going to get back. I mean, I'm offering you my honest opinion. I really am. I think on Friday I was probably excusing away. I'm like, well, you know, what were they at the time? 7 and 8, or what? Like it's, you know, I'm like it's 15 games, and I've seen these things play out before, and they're 1 week away from being really good. Now you could say they're 1 week away from being really bad. That's fair. There's two sides to that coin. If they have a bad series against the Braves, lose 2 out of 3, and a bad series against the Diamondbacks, it's a problem. You know, I mean, they could be 3, 4, 5 games under 500, but they could also have a good series against the Braves and a good series against the Diamondbacks, and then they'd be in pretty good position going to Chicago, you know, taking on a blah team, and then going to Mexico City to take on the Giants. So, Pedro, I'm glad to have you here in the chat. Seriously am. So thank you for hanging out. And yeah, I mean, the Soto stuff, I mean, it's hard because then I read it. You should check out this article, Ben. You really should. The Chelsea Janes thing in the Washington Post. Because, you know, the other thing you got to think about with Soto, like you said, he knows he turned down $440 million. No human being in the history of the world has turned down $440 million in any capacity, right? There's like 5 examples. Maybe you could have sold your company. You could have been a professional football player. I mean, think about the times that anyone's had that presented to them and then said no to it in the history of the world. This doesn't happen every day. And is there a mental aspect to this sport? You better damn believe there is. Because having spent my whole career around it, yes, you can get lost quick. And it's not because of getting lost physically. Now, Soto told Chelsea Janes today he thinks it's more mechanical than anything else. So I don't know, but I just hope it gets resolved sooner rather than later because I know that it's only going to intensify the pressure that he's facing as the days pass.
If it's mechanical, wouldn't he just be able to know what he was doing with Washington, how he was feeling with Washington? Is the pregame preparation different than what it was with Washington? Is the game planning, the video, is it different? Is he not watching video now as much as he was then? Is he watching too much video? Like,
if you watch video of Soto in 2021 and video of Soto in 2023, it's near identical. Swing plane, hands, stance. He equated to, we'd have to read it, and I don't want to completely, you know, butcher it, but he says he's envisioning hitting a line drive to short. That's when he's really going, when he's envisioning a ball kind of over short, but he's still turning over on it. Like he's still like little happy feet maybe, or like quickened, even though he's trying. So basically, and I said it when he was in New York, I think. He had an 0 for 4. He had 2 long flyouts. I'm like, he's going to go good because he hit a couple of balls to the opposite field with loft. And I remember when he did that last year, that would get him going a little bit. It would never be for a long period of time, but he could get going for 3, 4, 5 days when he started going to the opposite field. He's not going to the opposite field near as much as he needs to. To your point, you talked about doing it in the cage. He's aware of it. I mean, he literally told Chelsea Janes today he's fully aware of it, but for whatever reason, it's not computing. Maybe it's the way he's being pitched. Maybe it's the way he's approaching things when he gets into the box. But I think he's aware of what he needs to do, and it's just not equating.
is it? I mean, I feel like I'm trying to make too many excuses for him. Like, is it him not having Kevin Long with him as a hitting coach? Like,
there's that in there
Soto
too.
more than
It's possible.
Kuba and Flaherty and the other Burkhardt, I think, the other hitting assistant. Like,
But shit,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. It's Juan
if you're
Soto.
gonna,
He should be able to
yeah,
know what
that's
he's
the
doing.
thing. It's like if you're gonna give someone 500 million, you better not have to give him a hitting coach too. I mean, it's like this is on Juan Soto right now. And I mean, you're talking about the National League front runner 2 weeks ago to win the MVP. I mean, you're looking at guys that in Zips projections, Fangraphs, Baseball Reference. I mean, the projections are through the roof with this player. So he's fully capable, and you just wonder what's going on internally. That's what I'm worried about because he says it's mechanical, but I know he turned down $440 million. I know he's trying to impress the Padres and his teammates, and I thought the offseason would kind of do him a lot. And for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened as of yet. Pedro, love you, man. Thank you. Really do. Thank you for hanging out. Okay, let me get to our buddy here, Jackham Cronengerth, of course. I'm sure that's your real name, right? Thank you for the super chat. He says, Melvin didn't want to throw Nola under the bus, but Austin hit the wrong button. In any event, Darvish and staff have to do better holding runners. Yet, I don't know if you heard Melvin. Melvin said that it was a misfunction, so to speak, of PitchCom. But in actuality, the thing is like a computer. And I think it was actually Nola. Like you said, there's two settings. And Nola was on the wrong setting when he hit the button. Therefore, that led to the throw over.
Yeah, but also earlier in the week with Sal New York,
Yep.
he pressed someone pressed a pitch and it caught with something else.
Correct.
But would think that since it's pitches, it would be on the same mode. So I don't know how. I get this one, just speeding because of the pitch block. That one I don't understand. So it's just a lot of things. Like, I wish there was like a pregame segment or a postgame segment somewhere where Mark Grant or someone is going over what PitchCom looks like and the buttons and what it actually. Because we have no idea. Have we seen what it looks like? Have we seen these different modes? We're just hearing what Austin Nola and Bob Melvin are saying about this.
Yeah, it's a great point. That's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm with you on. I think Melvin did that. To your point, Cronengerth. They need to hold runners on, and like I said, if I'm every team when they're facing the Padres, when they're looking at a scouting report, how do I take advantage of this team? How do I maximize my ability to win, score? They're saying they have to shut down a run game. Let's just run on them until they stop it. I mean, and if you have capable runners, they're just running. And it's not like it's not like teams have, stolen on average 3 bases per game. That's not the case. They've allowed 23 and whatever that is, 17 games. That's a high total. I mean, it's a really high total. It's a year ago, you say, 23 stolen bases allowed in 17 games? That's impossible to even imagine. So it's a crazy high total. And against teams that have speed, it's not gonna stop until the Padres prove they can stop it. So it's gonna be interesting to watch how that dynamic plays out. And to Ben's point, it's like, well, you're just gonna have to deal with it. You're gonna have to pitch better. You're gonna have to get out of innings, even when stolen bases occur. Which is something they unfortunately couldn't get out of in that second inning here today. JD's third, thank you for the super. He says, who gets fired if they're below 500 for the season? Bo Mid, AJ Tingler Preller, or do they coast 10 years off last season? Any consequences for failure? Okay, in a hypothetical, which I don't envision, and I know Ben's not going to tell you he envisions it either. Let's say the team went 80 and 82. Okay, let's just say it. They missed the postseason. Bob Melvin will be back in 2024. AJ Preller will be back in 2024. Could there be changes on the staff? Absolutely. Could there be changes underneath AJ Preller in the front office? Absolutely. But no high-level changes. Ruben Niebla would be back. Bob Melvin would be back. AJ Preller would be back. Assistant GMs would be back, right? And I don't know how you'd explain it away, but I can't see any changes between 2023 and 2024 under that scenario. Can you?
No, unless like there's some Ken Rosenthal athletic deep article like there was that one year that came out about dysfunction and Preller and Bob Melvin totally not agreeing with each other.
Right.
Like, then okay, maybe, but this is on the players. If they don't make the postseason, it's on the players. Bob Melvin's one of the best managers in baseball. AJ Preller has done, I think, one heck of a job of putting this team in position to go win a World Series. Now, there's going to be more moves probably before the trade deadline to improve the team, but I think he's done a great job. Peter Seidler He loves AJ Preller. He loves Bob Melvin for all we know. So yeah, this would not be on management. This would be on the players. This would be on Juan Soto not performing. It would be on Manny Machado or Jake Cronenworth or Fernando Tatis Jr. or the pitching. It would be on them. Like, the management can only do so much. They're not the ones on the field. They are making decisions on paper. Okay, is this team in the best spot possible to go win this game today? That's all they can control. And Bob Melvin, sometimes the right move that he makes doesn't work out. That doesn't mean it wasn't the right move. It just didn't work out. So yeah, it's on the players.
A couple of funny texts. I want to get to her comments. Charlie says Ben must be using Jim's 2022 internet provider. Brett says Ben, tell your mom to get off Netflix. Anthony says Ben sounds like he's sitting in a dunk tank. It's been good or bad. Listen, Jim's been worse at times, so we're good. We're gonna hang out for another. Ben, you got another handful of minutes? Yeah, we can hang out for another.
My
10 or
internet
so.
doesn't. My internet might not. I don't know.
If you want to make sure we get your comment, if there's anything you want to get to tonight, is the Padres have fallen under 500 again at 8-9. They have a very challenging series coming up, if we're being honest. If you look at these pitching matchups, they're not exactly ideal. They are at home. They did just take 3 out of 4 from Atlanta. They need to find a way, certainly, to get a game and ideally get 2 games here at home against the Braves before leaving for Phoenix, where Fernando Tatis Jr. will return Thursday night for the Padres. You know, there's something here, Malachi, that, you know, I tend to agree with, and I think we've kind of touched on it or dabbled around it here today. We talked about the catching situation heading into the year. He says failure of front office to not see the change in the run game in 2023. I don't know at the end of the season how valuable the run game is going to be, but I know it's going to be infinitely more valuable than it was a year ago. I don't know how many wins it could create or losses it's going to create for the Padres this year. I don't know how quantifiable that is. But it's got to be something that the front office is seriously thinking about, and the coaching staff as well, the impact that the run game is going to have, I think right now you'd say negatively on the Padres, and how to negate that moving forward. But that's an interesting way to look at it. I don't know what type of defensive catcher Brett Sullivan is. I don't know what kind of arm he has. I don't know what kind of role he could potentially play in 2023. I just don't know. But this is something that I think is a fair comment.
Yeah, and let's go back to the beginning or before the season started, right? There were reports about the Padres being really disappointed that they missed out on Christian Vasquez. They weren't able to sign him. So they were trying to improve this catching part of this team. Camposano, unless some big trade happened, he was always going to be here. And Austin Nola, unless they got Vasquez, he was always going to be here. The pitchers trust him. So if they got Vasquez and he ended up going to Minnesota, if they ended up getting him, then maybe Nola's gone, but you'd have Vasquez, that's an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have Vasquez. So where else were they just weren't going to go anywhere else.
Right.
I mean, Camposano, they got to give him a shot. I think you'll see some more of him once he gets out of this thumb issue.
Mm-hmm.
And where else are you going to go? Nola, that's who you were going to go with. Like, it's kind of like this is the position they put themselves in when they made that trade for Nola, and it hasn't worked out the way they thought it was going to.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, he had a nice, 30 days in 2020 during the pandemic. And, he caught every inning of the postseason last year, and it was a really good postseason. And he deserves credit for, did he throw out Mookie Betts in one of those games at Dodger Stadium, maybe game 2? I mean, so he's had some moments. Like, it hasn't all been bad. It hasn't been, Austin Hedges' only career here. He's had some moments for really good teams, but right now it's not working very well, and they just cannot stop opponent run games, and that's a problem right now. I want to get to this from Pedro. Says, is anyone going to Lake Elsinore Tuesday to see Tatis? So is the plan for Tatis maybe to give it a go just one more time? Like, just looking ahead here, if he plays Thursday, could he travel Monday, play Tuesday, travel Wednesday, play Thursday?
I think he's going back to Petco tomorrow.
Okay.
And then go to Lake Elsinore Tuesday, and then go back with the team Wednesday
to travel
to Arizona, I think, because the suspension's almost over. I think Major League Baseball, they allow Tatis to be with the team when it's right almost over like that. I know last season he couldn't be there when the team was like on the field and batting practice had started and a certain amount of time before the game. I think like when fans entered the stadium, he couldn't be there. But he's allowed to be with the team. So I think that's plan right now.
Here's the thing, and I said it yesterday on the radio. I'm like, the worst scenario, there's a fine line here. You need him to get reps because you want him to hit the ground running, but you cannot force the issue with him now. Okay, the worst thing is something happens. Musgrove falls on his shoulder in a rehab start. It's baseball, so things can happen. You get hit by a pitch, you tweak a hamstring. All these things are possible. Just as being a human being, anything is possible. That could happen in the big leagues too. Don't get me wrong, but you can't have him suffer any setback from the here on out. The way he's locked in, I'm all for it. Now, I'm not going to not play him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's just too much, in my opinion. So he's got to play. And I like the game plan. I like the idea of getting him back in California, seeing him Monday, maybe going over whatever, signs, seeing the training staff, getting yourself, in the same state of mind as the team is, then go see another, go have another live game experience Tuesday, then go travel Wednesday and get ready to go Thursday, because he has to hit the ground running. Of course, the worst thing that could possibly happen is something happens to him between now and Thursday. So I get it from the Padres' perspective, because sometimes I'm like, man, why isn't he playing more in spring training, or why is he not playing more in AAA? But they got to think about maximizing him once it really counts. Yep. And I think to their credit, that they've done a nice job with that, and hopefully he does hit the ground running come Thursday.
Yeah, I don't think that he's gonna suck it up on Thursday or at the beginning of this, but I also don't want to have fans. I know they're going to, but I don't want them to overreact if he has a tough opening series against Arizona.
Sure.
Because Major League pitching is different from AAA pitching, and sometimes baseball is hard. Mm-hmm. And he might have been playing really good in a minor league El Paso action, and maybe it was a good game on Tuesday against Lake Elsinore. But what if he runs into Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly? And what if the rest of the offense doesn't have a good night? Is all the focus going to be on Tatis, and Tatis didn't do his job, or are we going to focus on the rest of the offense as well that has been at the major league level now for weeks in this season?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's well said. I mean, if you can't overreact to any one series. I mean, he could have 2 home runs in Arizona and say, wow, he's going to hit 4. Okay, it's one series. I mean, just because he hits 2 home runs in Arizona doesn't mean he's going to hit 40 home runs. And just because he doesn't homer in Arizona doesn't mean he's not going to hit 40 home runs. So you have to be a little careful. But we know, like Soto, it'll intensify. And the road is going to be interesting. What he has to deal with on the road is going to be fascinating. Can he use that to fuel him? Will the team feed off it? I hope so. I think there's a scenario where it's kind of galvanizing. It brings people together. If he can succeed despite what he's going to have to deal with day in and day out on the road, I think that could be really beneficial for the team. But with all that being said, he's a human being, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be what he's dealt with previously. He's going to have to, overcome some things, and hopefully he's capable of doing that. While we have a moment, I do want to thank our new partner here. Nope, not the merch. I want to thank our new partner here on the Wrap Up Show, Underdog Fantasy. This is a great, great company. If you are playing fantasy sports, you need to do it with our newest partner, Underdog Fantasy. It's the easiest place to play fantasy sports. And why do I say that? Because there's no league management aspect. Okay, you do a draft, which everyone loves, and that's it. There's no waivers. There's no trades. There's no lineup setting. And if you use promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP, at UnderdogFantasy.com, you'll double your first deposit up to $100. Make a deposit of $10, get $10 free. Make a deposit of $50, get $50 free, so on and so forth, all the way to $100. Promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP, at UnderdogFantasy.com. They've got pick'ems where you're just picking higher or lowers with a chance to win 20 times your money. And they also have the daily drafts, which are awesome, especially if you're into MLB daily fantasy. So use promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP. Do it at UnderdogFantasy.com. There's no easier place to win and play fantasy sports, and there's no stressing about the league management. No waivers, no trades. You don't have to set up your lineup as well. If you support this channel, please check out UnderdogFantasy.com. Again, UnderdogFantasy.com. All right, final 5 minutes here, guys. Padres lose 1-0 to the Brewers here today, Sunday, 2 hours and 22 minutes. They'll get the Braves tomorrow night. The pitching matchup tomorrow, Ryan Weathers, right, goes for the Padres. And who is it? Max Fried, right?
Max Fried, yep. And then Strider the next game, and then
Yeah.
Charlie Morton the next game. So yeah,
I mean,
it's tough.
really tough, really tough. Fried's been good, so has Weathers. Strider's been good. Snell has not. And then Morton's been solid. And Nick Martinez, it's early, has been up and down for the Padres. So, like I was saying, I mean, of course, you want to win every series you play. 2 out of 3 is great, especially against the Atlanta Braves. It'd be a 5-2, record on the year against the Braves. 1 out of 3, I don't think is the end of the world. Yeah, you'd fall 2 games under 500, but it's a lot better than the alternative of not winning a game in this series. So, I don't see this as some easy series. I don't see this as a game or a series where you're going to find a way to score 10 runs in a game, if I'm being honest. So you got to find a way to win a close game. You got to find a way to get this thing to your bullpen late where you can preserve a lead with the, Luis Garcias and Josh Haders of the world. And hopefully you can win 1 or 2 times like that beginning tomorrow night.
Yeah, and with this Braves team, I mean, as we saw that last series, their lineup is so deep that it just feels like this series, the Padres, they have to have some consistency. I know that C word has been big this show, consistency. They have to show it in this Braves series if they want to take 2 out of 3 or sweep even, because this Braves team, it's going to keep coming after you. And they have the advantage offensively right now because they're feeling good offensively. They have the big guys there. I know the Padres, they have a lot of offense, but they don't have Tatis still. And they're waiting for that, right there near the finish line for the suspension. But the Braves, they have everything right now. And they're coming off a good series against the Kansas City Royals. So it feels like they're clicking. And they just had a good series without having Max Fried, without having Spencer Strider pitch. And we saw how nasty Spencer Strider was against the Padres in that one game. Matt Carpenter clipped him that one time, but he was really, really good in that series, in that game against the Padres. So it's going to be tough. Looks like it's going to be a pretty fresh bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the rotation can provide some length for the Padres this season.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is cool, by the way, from Seven Dusted. Good to have you back with us. I know you've been here earlier this year. He says, my 2 favorite Padres sources on at once. Woohoo, LFGSD. Darvish looked awesome. Good morning from Romania. Incredible. Thank you, Seven Dusted, for hanging out. My overall takeaway tonight, and at some point this is going to change. It'll change in a big way. And if you listen tomorrow to John and Jim, when Jim comes back, I'm sure we'll take a very critical eye towards these 17 games so far and losing 3 out of 4 to the Brewers. I would just say this: take solace in the fact that 17 games is not a season, nor is it anywhere close to it. It doesn't guarantee the future. I'm not telling you the next 17 games are going to be better, but there's reasons to believe it could be. A, the schedule is going to ease up. B, you're going to get Fernando Tatis Jr. C, you're going to get Joe Musgrove. D, at some point, maybe the Robert Suarez, Drew Pomeranz combination in some form or fashion bails you out. E, you've got your general manager who's always going to be, keeping a eye on the possible trade market as you get closer to June and July. So it's early. I'm not saying that it's been good because I don't think it has really been good, if I'm being honest. But there have been teams that have started 8-9 before that have gotten to the World Series. There's teams that have been 8-9 that have won the World Series. Nationals a handful of years ago, Dodgers in 2017 and 2018 were under 500 about 30 games into the season. So I don't want to excuse it. I really don't. I'm disappointed like Padres fans are. I think they should be playing better in front of these huge crowds. 10 home games, 8 sellouts, I want to say. They should be playing better than they have. And I don't like waiting on Tatis or Musgrove either. But the truth is they're 8-9, Ben. They're not, like I've been saying, 4-13. I think 4-13 is a big problem. I think 8-9 right now isn't a big problem, and hopefully it can be rectified soon.
Yeah. If I need to be critical later in the year, I definitely am going to be critical later in the year. But right now, it is early, and I know that it's just there's talent on this team, and I know some fans are sick of people saying that, oh, I believe in the talent, and they're going to come around. And if you're frustrated with that, I definitely understand it, but I just don't feel like it's the time right now to be all in panic mode when there is this much talent on the team and all of the talent isn't on the roster yet. And we haven't seen a substantial period of time, a lot of games with all the talent on the team. So I just don't think it's fair to fully judge this team yet. Philly, Houston, right? Yeah, like Brent says,
Mhm.
struggling a little bit.
Yeah, St.
I
Louis.
think they're yeah, St. Louis. I think they're gonna end up fine. Phillies, I'm a little more worried about than those other two, but those teams, they're going to end up fine. And I think the Padres, they're going to end up fine. It's a long season. It's a roller coaster ride, and there's been
It is.
some more downs than ups, it feels like, so far this year, but there's gonna be some ups, and we just have to wait for that.
Yeah, well said. Ben, appreciate you hanging out. Again, for our viewers, if you're here tonight, Jim is still in Cabo. So Ben Fadden filling in from Talking Friars. Great resource for Padres fans. Make sure to find him on YouTube, also on social media. Has as much content as really anyone does in the space. So if you support the wrap-up show, please support Ben Fadden at Talking Friars. Please subscribe, guys, to this channel if you're here year-round Padres content. Please smash the like button for us. Follow us on Twitter as well, at John Schaefer, at Talking Friars. Appreciate the support with the supers and the memberships, the merchandise as well. All right, we'll be back tomorrow night following game one of a 3-game series. Padres, Braves, Max Fried, Ryan Weathers. Padres trying to get back to 500 and avoid falling 2 games under 500. Please support our partners, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, Auto, Home, Renters Life, Earthquake Insurance, and more. Click the description down below. You'll get a link to Mark's website and get a quote online. He is a great insurance agent. He can save you a lot of money. He's the title sponsor here. We thank Aura at ora.organic for their support of this channel as well. If you are looking to get healthier here, you know what? I don't even think I did the Aura read. Hold on. Before we get out of here, how did I forget that? Holy moly. Aura, thank you guys. Will, their co-founder. It's an amazing company. I took their probiotic this morning. Probiotics for digestion, proteins for after workouts, pre-workout supplements, omega-3 oils, sleep supplements, immunity pills. An amazing company located right here in San Diego with products for everyone, yourself, your spouse, your family, your friends, affordable, easy to get to the website. Click the description down below or go to ora.organic. Some amazing products, and they're all plant-based. So every single product from Aura is plant-based. If you support this channel and you want to support a local business, please check out Aura. It's a way to get healthier this year with their plant-based nutritional products. And take it from me, the probiotic is a must purchase. If you've never had it before, if you've never tried a probiotic, I'm telling you, it can really be life-changing stuff. So check it out right now at ora.organic. All right. Thank you, Aura. Thank you, Mark Nimitz. Thank you, UnderdogFantasy.com. You can use promo code PODSWRAP to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Ben, appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. Jim's an idiot.
He really is. That's really well said. I appreciate you saying that. All right. Join us tomorrow on the radio, 3 p.m. Then we'll have a wrap-up show for you tomorrow night as well. For Ben, I'm John. This has been the wrap-up show.